Yarrick didn't expect anything special when he bought the ship. He only needed some scrap parts, maybe a few working engines. The auction was small, and no one even bid on the old freighter at Dock 17, covered in rust, half buried in dust and oil. The ship looked like a grave. Starting bid, 200 credits. The auctioneer called out. No one raised a hand. Fine. Yarrick mumbled and raised his chip card. He won the bid without a fight, and the ship was his. That should have been the end of it. But Yarrick felt something strange as he walked toward the ship. A cold wind blew from under the landing ramp, and he thought just for a second he saw movement in one of the cracked windows. He shook his head and laughed. Too many stories, he muttered. People in the scrapyard always told tales, ghost ships, alien traps, cursed engines. But Yarrick never believed in those. He climbed inside the ship, flashlight in hand. The lights were dead, the air stale. He moved through the narrow hallway, stepping over broken tools and smashed crates. Looks worse than I thought, he said to himself. But then, something strange. There was a blanket in the corner, fresh, clean, not covered in dust. Next to it, an empty food pack with writing not in human language. Yarrick froze. Hello. He called out quietly. His voice echoed through the hollow ship. No answer. He moved slowly, checking each door. Some were locked, others sealed shut. But one, the cargo hold, was open just a crack. He pushed it gently. Inside was dark, and the smell was different. Not oil, not metal, something warm, something alive. He pointed the flashlight around the room. Metal walls, stacked boxes, nothing moved. But when he turned to leave, he heard it. A soft sound, like breathing, small. Quick, shallow breaths coming from behind a pile of crates. Yarrick didn't move. He crouched down, trying to see. The flashlight flickered on, then landed on something. Eyes. Big, glowing eyes staring back at him from the shadows. Wait, he said gently. I'm not going to hurt you. The eyes blinked and then disappeared behind the crate. Yarrick took a slow step forward, and suddenly a hiss, a soft growl, and a voice. Please, no, don't take her. The voice was weak, female, and not human. Yarrick raised both hands, showing he had no weapons. I'm just here for the ship, he said calmly. I didn't know someone was inside. Another shape appeared behind the crates. Taller than the first, thin and shaking, she stepped into the light. An alien woman, her skin pale blue and marked with faded bruises, her arms wrapped around a small girl who clung to her leg. Yarrick's heart thudded. They were hiding, afraid, maybe even injured. What happened to you? He asked softly. The woman said nothing for a long time. Then, in a whisper, we escaped. And we hid here, hoping no one would find us. Yarrick looked around. Now the ship made sense. It wasn't just junk, it was a shelter, a secret, and now he had walked right into it. I'm not with the authorities, he said. I don't care about trouble. I just wanted spare parts. The woman looked at him, studying his face. You won't turn us in. Yarrick shook his head. Not if you're not a threat, he said. The girl peeked out from behind her mother and whispered something in a strange language. The woman nodded, her eyes softening. I'm Lyra, she said, and this is my daughter. Neha. Yarrick took a breath and nodded back. Yarrick, he replied, you picked a rough place to hide. We had nowhere else, Lyra said. They were chasing us. Who? Yarrick asked, but Lyra went silent, her face turning pale. The ship suddenly didn't feel like his anymore. It felt like a secret too big to carry alone, but it was too late now. He had opened the door, and nothing was ever going to be simple again. Yarrick couldn't sleep that night, even though he had locked the ship up and returned to his small home. His thoughts kept returning to the girl's glowing eyes and the mother's broken voice. They didn't look dangerous, but they were hiding something. Midnight Yarrick grabbed his coat and flashlight and went back to Dock 17. Rain started falling as he walked, tapping on metal roofs and echoing through the yard. The old freighter stood in the shadows like a silent giant, still, but not empty. He opened the ramp and stepped inside. The ship groaned softly, like it didn't want to be disturbed. His boots made wet sounds as he moved through the corridor. The flashlight flickered again, but Yarrick kept walking. Lyra. He called, his voice low. No answer, but then from the cargo hold a sound, a small voice, trembling, broken, please. She's cold. Yarrick ran toward the sound and entered the cargo bay. There, sitting on the cold floor, was the little girl Naye, wrapped in her mother's arms. Lyra looked up, her face pale, her lips blue. The warmth units in the ship were long dead, and the rain had brought a chill with it. Yarrick took off his coat and placed it around them. We need to get you warm, he said. Lyra didn't argue. She just held her daughter tighter. I have a heater at my workshop, Yarrick offered. You can stay there. Just for the night, Lyra's eyes were full of fear. If they see us, no one will see. Yarrick interrupted. I have a back way. No cameras, no neighbors. Lyra hesitated, then nodded. Yarrick helped her stand, careful not to startle Nia. He led them through the dark ship and out into the cold night. The rain soaked them quickly, but Nia didn't complain. She just held her mother's hand tightly and walked. At the workshop, Yarrick locked the doors and closed all windows. He turned. On the portable heater, the warmth began to fill the room slowly. Blankets, food, dry clothes, he gave them everything he had. Lyra sat on a small cot, her arms still wrapped around Nia. The girl was quiet. Too quiet for a child, is she always? This silent? Yarrick asked. She hasn't spoken in days. Lyra whispered. She's scared. We both are. Yarrick sat down across from them. Who's chasing you? He asked again. Lyra looked at him, her eyes sharp, full of pain and memory. We were cargo, she said quietly, sold by smugglers, delivered to a warlord. Yarrick's face hardened. Slavery, even after all the treaties. Some parts of the galaxy still treated people like objects, but you escaped, he said. Lyra nodded. One of the guards helped. He had a heart, she whispered, but he was caught, and we barely made it to the ship. Yarrick leaned back, his mind racing. Do they know where you are now? Lyra didn't answer right away. Then she reached into a small pouch tied to her side and pulled out a metal square. A tracking device, cracked, but still blinking with a red light. They'll come, she said. They always come, Yarrick. Took the device and smashed it with a wrench. No one's coming tonight, he said. Lyra watched him. Surprised, why are you helping us? Yarrick didn't know how to answer. He thought for a moment, then said, you were inside my ship. Scared, cold, protecting your child. That's not what a threat looks like. Lyra's eyes shimmered with emotion. Thank you, she said, her voice barely a whisper. Nia finally looked at Yarrick. Her eyes were wide and golden. She reached out slowly and touched his hand. Yarrick didn't move. He just smiled. That night. He let them rest while he stayed awake, guarding the door. Outside, the rain kept falling, but inside the workshop. For the first time in a long time, someone felt safe, but far away, in a dim-lit room filled with screens. A red light blinked, and someone saw the old ship had powered on briefly. Someone who wouldn't stop until what was stolen was taken back. The next morning, the storm was gone, but a strange silence filled the air. Yarrick stood outside his workshop, eyes scanning the empty scrapyard. No drones, no scavengers. Not even the usual barking from the junkyard hounds. Something felt. Off inside, Lyra was making tea with shaking hands. Nia was curled up in the warmest blanket Yarrick owned, still watching everything silently. Yarrick walked in and sat across from them. He looked at Lyra carefully. I need the full story. He said, if I'm going to keep you safe, I have to know what I'm up against. Lyra didn't answer right away. She handed him a metal cup of bitter tea, then slowly sat beside Nihai for a long time. She just stared at the floor. Then, in a voice low and tired, she began to speak. I wasn't always a slave, she said. I was trained, educated, raised to work on starships, navigation systems, engines, flight patterns. I worked on warships for the Valari Alliance. Yarrick blinked, surprised. The Valari were known across the galaxy for their advanced tech and strict loyalty. Then how did you end up in a cargo hold? He asked. Lyra's jaw tightened. I refused. She said there was a new commander. Cruel, arrogant. He wanted me to install a cloaked module not for war, but for smuggling slaves. She paused, looking at Naya, who didn't look away. This time I said no. So he marked me a traitor. He sold me and my daughter off to a private trader, someone deep in the black market. Yarrick sat in silence. His fingers gripped the metal cup tightly. He had heard stories like this before, but never this close, never this real. They treated us like equipment, she said, her voice breaking. We were loaded onto a ship mine stripped of ID tags, set to be delivered to some buyer, but during one stop, a dock hand noticed my marks, my skills. He opened a maintenance vent and told me to run. I took Naya and disappeared. Into that ship's hidden bay, Yarrick stared at her. You've been hiding there ever since? Yes, she nodded. I disabled most systems and wiped the logs. We drifted for weeks, landed at scrapyards, powered down every time scanners got close. But last week, she said slowly, I turned on the core for 5 minutes to charge the air system. That was enough, Yarrick understood now. The blinking light. The silent tracking ping. She hadn't meant to lead anyone, but someone was surely already on the way. You're not just a mother trying to survive, Yarrick said. You're a target with knowledge they don't want out. Lyra looked him in the eyes. That's why I begged you not to report us. He stood and walked to his desk, pulled out a thin plastic folder filled with old star charts and registry codes. If I give you a new transponder, he said, you can disappear again, but not in that rust bucket. I can help fix her, Lyra said quickly. Her eyes were full of something Yarrick hadn't seen in a long time. Hope. Then we better get started, he replied. Hours passed as the three of them returned to Dock 17. Yarrick brought tools, cables, and fuel rods while Lyra inspected the damaged engines. She moved fast, skilled, almost like the ship knew her hands. Even Naya helped, handing small tools and whispering numbers when Lyra forgot. She's good with memory. Lyra smiled softly. She remembers routes better than I do sometimes. Yarrick tried not to show it, but his chest tightened a little. They weren't just hiding, they were a family. A broken one, maybe, but real as the sun dipped low, casting golden light through the cargo bay's cracked walls. Lyra looked at him. If they come, you need to walk away, she said firmly. This is not your fight. But Yarrick only laughed. I bought the ship. Remember? He said, that means I own the trouble inside it too. That night, as stars blinked above them, something else blinked too far away. A signal on a bounty hunter screen turned green. Ship ID, partial match, location, Earth sector, Dock 17. A smile spread across a scarred face. Found you, the hunter growled. Time to get paid. Asterisk Dock 17 had never been this quiet. Not even during power cuts. Not even during system lockdowns. But today was like the wind had stopped breathing. Yarrick stood on top of the old freighter's roof, a pair of binoculars in hand. He had noticed something strange that morning. A ship's leak black. No registration code parked just outside the scrapyard gate. It hadn't moved in 2 hours, and now? A tall figure in armor stood beside it, watching the yard without blinking. Yarek didn't need confirmation. That was a bounty hunter. He climbed down fast and ran inside the ship, Lyra. He called. She was under the control panel, reworking. "The flight circuits. What's wrong?" she asked, standing up quickly. Yarek's face was tense. "They're here," he said. "A hunter's outside, just standing there." Like he's waiting, Lyra's skin went pale. "How did they find us so fast?" "You said you powered on the core for 5 minutes, right?" "Yes, 5 minutes was too long." She rushed to Naya, pulling her close. "We have to leave, now," she said. Yarek shook his head. "We can't take off the engines. Still need another day." Lyra looked around, her hands shaking. "Then we hide." Yarek turned off all lights and sealed the main doors from inside. He moved them into the ship's hollowed-out engineering bay deep in the back. "With only one small hatch, I'll handle him," Yarek said. Lyra grabbed his arm. "You can't fight a bounty hunter." Yarek nodded. "Then I'll outsmart him." The knock came 20 minutes later. Loud, cold, not rushed. He was confident. Yarek opened the ramp just enough to step out. The hunter stood there in black armor, tall and broad. A scar running from his chin to his ear. "Nice ship," the man said, voice rough like gravel. "Didn't think anyone wanted this hunk of metal." Yarek smiled nervously. "I like junk. Gives me a challenge." The hunter looked around slowly. "You work alone?" "Mostly," Yarek replied, trying to sound casual. "The hunters?" Helmet clicked, scanning Yarek's face. "You bought this ship 3 days ago, right?" "Yeah." "You enter it yet?" "Course. See anything strange?" Yarek looked at him. "I found rats, rust, and a dead engine." "Is that what you mean by strange?" The bounty hunter stepped closer. "This ship's on a watch list," he said. "Illegal goods. Maybe people missing from a raid 2 cycles ago. I'm searching for anything out of place." Yarek narrowed his eyes. "Are you with the government or freelance? Does it matter?" the man asked. Yarek didn't answer. "You mind if I take a look?" the hunter asked. Yarek crossed his arms. "This is private property now. You want in?" "Show a warrant." The man smiled coldly. "Didn't bring one." Yarek nodded and turned. "Then you're not coming in." Behind the metal walls, Lyra held her breath. She had her hand over Naya's mouth, trying to keep her daughter calm. Every sound outside made her heart jump. A boot step, a laugh. Even silence, it all felt like thunder. Then bang, the bounty hunter punched the ship's outer hull. "Last chance," he growled. "I know they're in there. You think you can hide them from me?" Yarek turned back, eyes sharp. "You take one step up that ramp," he warned, "and you'll regret it." The bounty hunter laughed. "From you?" Yarek pressed a small device behind his back, a signal to the drone system he installed. The night before, suddenly buzzing filled the air. For scrap drones rose from the roof, sparks flying from their rusted parts. Their laser pointers aimed directly at the bounty hunter's chest. "I may like junk," Yarek said, "but I know how to weaponize it." The bounty hunter raised his hands. "Fine, I'll go," he said calmly. "But you're making a mistake, human. They're not worth your life." Yarek didn't flinch. "They're not junk to me." The hunter stepped back slowly, climbed into his sleek black ship. It rose into the air and vanished across the clouds, but Yarek knew what that really meant. He wasn't gone for good, just gone to report. Inside, Lyra and Naya came out of hiding. "You scared him off?" she asked, still not believing it. "Only for now," Yarek said. "He'll be back, and next time he won't be alone." Lyra looked at the old ship walls, then at Yarek. "We need to finish the repairs," she said. "We need to fly." Yarek nodded. "And we will," he replied. "But if we're leaving, we're not running anymore." Lyra blinked. "What do you mean?" "I mean we're not just escaping," Yarek said. We're going to take this ship and take back your freedom. The night before escape felt too calm. The stars were quiet above. The scrapyard was silent. And Dock 17 was dark. But inside the shipyard, Lyra and Naya were moving like ghosts, preparing for war. Every wire was checked twice, every panel sealed tight. Lyra finished installing the last thruster core, while Naya silently carried the power cells. Yorick stood near the cargo door with a pulse blaster in one hand, an old manual in the other. "We need just 6 more hours," Lyra whispered. Wiping sweat from her brow, "That's all." Yorick looked at the scanner. "No ships in range," he said. "We might make it." But his voice didn't sound sure. Suddenly, a sharp beep came from the radar console. 1, 2, 3 red dots appeared on the screen. "Ships incoming," Yorick muttered. Lyra rushed over, eyes wide. "Multiple," she said. "Not patrol, those are hunter marks." Yorick closed the outer hull and turned on emergency lockdown. "They're early," he growled. "They must have tracked that guy's last location." The ship was trapped, not yet ready for launch. But Yorick had one advantage. He knew this junkyard better than anyone alive. "We're not running tonight," he said calmly. "We're fighting." Lyra froze. "Fight." "I've hidden drones all over the yard," he said. "Motion activated, coded to my signal." Lyra looked at him with disbelief. "You were ready for this?" "I hoped I'd never need it," Yorick replied. "But here we are, outside." The enemy ships landed with a loud metallic hiss. 3 bounty hunters stepped out heavily armed, full combat gear. They moved fast, efficient. Like predators ready to strike, the leader raised a hand and pointed to Dock 17. "There," he growled. "They're still inside. The hunters split up, circling the ship from both sides. But the moment their boots touched the scrap piles, clank, a drone activated. Metal wings snapping open. It flew straight up, then crashed into the nearest hunter with an electric pulse. Zap. The hunter screamed, dropping his weapon. Then a second drone dropped from above and exploded into sparks. The others fired back blindly into the darkness. From inside, Neha covered her ears, crying softly. Lyra held her tightly, whispering calm. Words in her native tongue, Yorick stood at the ship's exit ramp, blaster ready. Watching every movement on the scanner, they're coming from the right side. He shouted. Lyra ran to the weapon panel, activating the external defense cannon. The old ship roared to life as energy surged through forgotten wires. Boom! A pulse blast hit the ground just inches from the second hunter. The shock threw him back, crashing into a pile of rusted metal. He didn't get up. The third hunter leaped through the fire and threw a grenade toward the ramp. Saw it grabbed a metal panel and slammed it down over the blast zone. The explosion shook the ship, but didn't breach. Then came silence. Only smoke and static filled the air. Yorick stepped out slowly, gun raised. The first hunter was down, tangled in drone parts. The second was out cold. Helmet cracked, but the third was gone. He turned back to the ship hand. That's when he heard it. A soft metallic clang from inside. He ran in heart-pounding Lyra. He called, "I'm here." She shouted from the control room. But Nayania was gone. "Where's Naya?" Yorick yelled. Lyra's face went pale. She was just a scream came from the back of the ship. Naya's voice, sharp, scared. Yorick sprinted through the hallway, weapon ready. He found her in the engine bay. Held by the last hunter, a blade. At her neck, armor scorched but standing. "Drop your gun," the hunter growled. Yorick stopped cold. "You think you're saving her?" The man said, "She's worth more than a planet's gold biodata. Memory codes, genetic tracking. She's not a girl," he snarled. "She's a weapon." "Let her go," Yorick said. "She's a child." The hunter laughed. "You don't get it, do you? She's the key to Valari's secrets. The reason her mother ran this girl can unlock things even high command fears. Naya was crying, but she looked at Yarek, tears in her golden eyes. I'm not a weapon. She whispered, I just want to live. That was enough for Yarek. He aimed, fired pew. The blaster hit the hunter's arm, making him drop the blade. Neha ran, and Yarek charged. Tackling the man into the wall, they fought hard fists, elbows. Metal tools flying, Yarek finally grabbed a wrench and struck the hunter across the face. He fell, unconscious. Lyra rushed in seconds later. Is she okay? Jarek looked at Nyash, shaking, scared, but safe. She's more than okay, he said, pulling her close. That night, they buried the hunters in the scrapyard's darkest pit. No names, no glory, just dust and silence. Then Lyra stood beside Yarek at the control panel. Repairs are done, she said softly. We can leave now. Yarek nodded. Then tomorrow, we fly, and this time, they wouldn't be running. They'd be taking back everything that was stolen. Asterisk the morning. After the firefight, the air was different. No sirens, no threats, just quiet. Clean wind brushing through the scrapyard. Yarek stood at the edge of Dock 17. Looking out at the mess they left behind, the battle was over for now, but something had changed inside. Lyra, walked out of the ship behind him. Her steps were slow, careful, like she was still expecting another attack. But when she reached Yarek, she didn't speak. She just stood beside him, watching the horizon. We could have died, she finally said. We almost did, Yarek replied. But we didn't. Lyra looked down at her hands, still stained with grease and blood. For years, I've only known fear, hiding, running, always sleeping with one eye open. I forgot what it's like to feel safe, even for a second. Yarek didn't say anything. Instead, he pulled something out of his Paquita small cloth pouch. He handed it to her. Lyra opened it carefully. Inside was an old key, hand-carved with alien symbols glowing faint blue. Her eyes widened. Where did you get this? Yarek smiled. Found it in your ship's hidden compartment, behind the coolant tank. Didn't know what it was, but it felt like it belonged to you. Lyra took a deep breath, her fingers trembling. This is a house stone key, she whispered. In my culture, when someone saves your life, you give them this. It's not just thanks. It's a vow. A way. Vow? Yarek asked. Yes, Lyra said softly. It means we are yours by ancient law. Until the debt is returned, she held the key toward him. I offer this freely. She said, not because I must bought, because you gave us a future. Yarek looked at the key, then at her. I'm not your master, he said quietly. I don't want anything in return. Lyra stepped closer. It's not about control, she said. It's about bond, trust, standing beside someone through life. Where I come from, this is a sacred tie. Yarek hesitated, then reached out and gently took the key, not as a symbol of ownership, but of family. He looked at Nia, who peeked out from the cargo door. Her golden eyes still curious. Still watching, she's smiling again, Yarek said. She hasn't smiled since we fled. Lyra replied with a gentle smile of her own. That evening, the ship roared back to life, engines pulsing, lights glowing again for the first time in years. They stood in the cockpit, Yarek at the controls, Lyra guiding him through the launch steps. This thing is heavier than it looks, he muttered, trying to lift the ship. Lyra laughed. Not heavy, just proud. The ship finally lifted off, shaking rust and dust from its frame. Neha giggled as she looked out the window, watching the scrapyard grow smaller and smaller. We did it, Lyra whispered, tears forming in her eyes. We're free. But Yarek wasn't done. I know a place, he said, turning the ship gently toward the northern belt. Quiet. Remote, but protected. Old friend of mine runs a sanctuary. Therefore people like you, like Naya Lyra, looked surprised. There are more like us. More than you think, Yarok replied. The galaxy isn't fair. But some of us are still trying to fix it, after hours of flight. They reached a large asteroid surrounded by energy shields. Lyra stared in wonder-hidden homes built inside. Caves, growing lights, safe air, children running in the open for the first time. Naya pressed her face to the glass, smiling like a real child, not hiding, not crying, just living. When they landed, Yarok led them through the main tunnel. An old woman greeted them with a kind face and cybernetic arms. Yarok. She smiled, hugging him tightly. You bring more trouble or more family this time? Both, he chuckled. This is Lyra and her daughter Naya. They need a safe place. The woman looked at them gently. Then they found one. She said, You're welcome here. Later that night, Lyra sat beside a warm fire with Naya sleeping in her lap. Yarok sat across from them, tired but content. This isn't just survival, he said. This is the start of something real. Lyra looked at him for a long moment. You didn't have to help, she whispered. I know, he said, but I wanted to. She smiled, truly smiled. For the first time in a long time, you gave us sanctuary. No, Yarok said, reaching into his pocket and holding up the house stone. Key, you gave me something worth protecting. The sky above the sanctuary shimmered with purple mist. Soft clouds drifted across the stars as Lyra stood on the landing platform. Her hands rested gently on Naya's shoulders. Beside them stood Yarok, his coat blowing lightly in the wind. The ship, once rusted and broken, now gleamed with life. Fresh paint, new engines, humming softly with power. It wasn't just a machine anymore. It was a promise. We don't have to go. Lyra said, her voice calm. This place is safe, warm, kind. Yarok looked out across the cliffs where children played and laughter echoed through the tunnels. It is, he said, but we can't stay hidden forever. Lyra turned to him. You still want to go out there? I do, Yarok replied. There's more to fix out. They're more like you, like Naya. People who need someone too. Fight for them. Naya looked up at them both. Her small voice broke the silence. Will we stay together? Lyra bent down and kissed her forehead. Yes, she whispered. Wherever we go together. Yarok smiled. That's the deal. They boarded the ship just as the morning light crept over the asteroid's edge. Inside, everything was different now. The control room was alive with color. The panels responding to Lyra's touch. She took the co-pilot seat, Naya in the small seat behind her. Yarok sat in the captain's chair, feeling both nervous and whole. Ready? He asked. Lyra nodded. Always, with a gentle roar. The ship lifted off. The sanctuary faded behind them, replaced by the stars ahead. But they didn't look back. They didn't need to, as the ship passed into open space. Yarok activated a small Bicona signal, not to call for help, but to offer it. A message in every common language across the galaxy. If you're hiding, running, lost, we hear you. Come find us. You're not alone. Naya watched the stars flash past the windows. Where will we go first? She asked. Yarok leaned back, thinking there's a mining colony near the edge of Alari space. He said, rumors say workers are being taken same way you were. We can start there. Lyra didn't argue. She placed her hand over his on the control panel. No more fear, she said softly. Now we fight back. They flew in silence for a while, letting the stars speak for them, and then Naya giggled. What's funny? Yarok asked, smiling. She pointed at the console screen. You named the ship, she said. Yarok blinked. What? I didn't. Lyra laughed. Yes, you did. She tapped the monitor. A name had appeared in soft glowing letters across the system. Family 1. Yarok looked confused. I never typed that. Lyra smiled. "It's voice-linked now," she said. "Maybe it heard your heart." Yarek laughed quietly. "Family 1, he repeated. "Yeah. That sounds right. Out in the stars. Threats still existed. Warlords. Smugglers. Corrupt governments. But for now, aboard the ship. There was peace. Not just survival, but purpose. And somewhere deep in the storage bay, wrapped in soft fabric, was a carved blue Ketha, house stone kept, safe like treasure. Not because it was a gift, but because it marked the beginning of something rare in the galaxy. Trust, Lyra. Once a slave, now flew free. Naya, once silent and afraid, now laughed, and asked questions about stars and maps. And Yarek, just a scrapyard mechanic, now piloted a ship full of meaning. They weren't just running. They were building something, helping others, fighting back, one light at a time, one voice, one family among the stars.